Hi everyone! Today we're going to have a lesson about the chapter 4 of A Christmas Carol. The name of the chapter is The Last of the Three Spirits. Let's start. Scrooge remembered the words of Jacob Marley's ghost. The third spirit will come at midnight. Just on time the spirit was there. Scrooge lifted his eyes, saw a spirit all in black, coming slowly towards him. "Are you the spirit of Christmas yet to come?" said Scrooge. "Are you going to show me shadows of the future?" There were no answer from the spirit. "Ghosts of the future, you frighten me very much, but I think you can help me to change my life. I will be very grateful to you if you show me the future." But the spirit didn't answer. "Well, show me the way, spirit. The night is passing and time is valuable to me, I know." Scrooge and the spirit moved to the heart of the capital, and a group of men were talking, and Scrooge went to hear the conversation. "No, I don't know much about it. I only know he is dead." "When did he die?" "Last night, I think." "Why? What was the matter with him?" "No idea. Who cares?" The spirit pointed to two other men talking. "How are you?" "Well, the old man has died at last, has he?" Who were they talking about? Who do you think they were talking about? Who has died? Scrooge could not see himself anywhere, and he realized they were talking about him. And one of the men said, "He hasn't left his money to me," said the fat man. They left that place and went to another part of the capital where Scrooge hadn't been there before. There was a woman selling a sack of things that belonged to a dead man. "Does a dead man need these things? And why was he so mean while he was alive? We all worked for him, didn't we? Cleaned his house, washed his clothes, cooked his soap, and what did we get? 3 shillings a week. It's no surprise that he died alone, with no friends around him. He was a bad man. We all know that." "No, now what have we here?" Old Joe, the man that you can see here in the picture, Old Joe, the owner of the shop, bought the sack of the woman. There were buttons, boots, some excellent bed, curtains, blankets, and a very good shirt. All these things were of the man that was dead. How do you think Scrooge felt in that moment? Scrooge felt sick and angry at the same time. Die with no friends or family around, to know that nobody loves him because he loved nobody in his life. Money can't buy a happy life or a peaceful death. Who do you think they were talking about? Who was the dead man? Yes, Scrooge was in front of the dead man, but he was not brave enough to remove the sheet to see himself lying on the bed. So that man was Scrooge. So she had a suspicion that he was lying on the bed, but he didn't want to remove the sheet to see himself lying there on the bed. Scrooge and the spirit moved to Bob Cratchit's house, and Bob Cratchit here was sitting on the chair and said, "My little child." He was crying. He had loved the boy very much. He makes you promise all the family to never forget Tiny Tim because Tiny Tim had died too. The ghost of Christmas yet to come took Scrooge through the streets of London again. Scrooge wanted to see his office, but when they got there, it was not his office anymore. Then they moved to a church and entered to a graveyard. The spirit pointed down at one of the graves. This is a grave, and spirit is the spirit with Scrooge. He pointed, and Scrooge said, "Am I that man who was lying on the bed?" "No, spirit. Oh, no, no." Scrooge fell to the ground in front of the ghost, holding its long, dark robe. "Spirit, listen. I'm a changed man. I have learned my lesson. Why show me this terrible end if there is no hope for me? Good Spirit, tell me that my future will change if I change my life now. I will be good to other people. I will keep Christmas in my heart, and I will try to be kind and cheerful and merry every day." Just then, Scrooge noticed that something was happening in the spirit. It was getting smaller and smaller, and suddenly it became a bed spot, the one that you can see here in the picture. Now, let's do the activity of your book on page 63. In case you don't have these pages to work, you can work in your copybook, right? So let's start. The instructions are: read chapter 4 and then match these halves of sentences. So from sentence 1 to 7 is one half of the sentence, and from the sentence 8 to 14, you can find the other halves of the sentence, right? So let's read them all together, and then we're going to put the correct half of the sentence to make it complete, right? Number 1, Scrooge was more afraid of the last of the spirits than. Number 2, the spirit showed him shadows of things which hadn't happened yet, but. From the businessman's conversation, Scrooge learned. Number 4, the 3 women sold Scrooge's clothes because. Number 5, a young family had to pay some money to Scrooge, so. When Scrooge wanted to see sadness at a death. Number 7, in the churchyard, the ghost pointed at the grave which. What was in the grave? Number 8, they were happy to hear of his death. These are the other helps that you can use to complete the 1 to 7, okay? Number 8, they were happy to hear of his death, which happened in the future. The ghost showed him the Cratchits after Tiny Tim died. He had been of the others, had Scrooge's name on the gravestone. He had paid them very badly when he was alive, and that nobody cared about the man who had died. Okay, so please take your time to put the sentence, to complete the sentence with the correct half, right? So let's start. Scrooge was more afraid of the loss of the spirits than. Number. The correct answer is 11. He had been of the others. Scrooge was more afraid of the loss of the spirits than he had been of the others. That's the right answer. Number 2, the spirit showed him shadows of things which hadn't happened yet. But, what's the correct? It's number 9. But would happen in the future. Let's read it again. The Spirit showed him shadows of things which hadn't happened yet, but would happen in the future. Right? Number 3. From the businessman's conversation, Scrooge learned. What did he learn? What did he learn? Do you remember? Number 3. The correct answer is 14. He learned that nobody cared about the man who had died. Remember, the man that died was Scrooge, right? So nobody cared about his own death. Number 4, the 3 women sold Scrooge's clothes because the right answer is 13. Because he had paid them very badly when he was alive. Number 5, a young family had to pay some money to Scrooge, so the correct answer is number 8. They were happy to hear of his death. Number 6, when Scrooge wanted to see sadness at a death, number 10 is the correct answer. The ghost showed him the crutches after Tiny Tim died. Number 7, in the churchyard, the ghost pointed at the grave, which, number 12, which had Scrooge's name on the gravestone. Right, so these are the correct answers. I hope you have worked and completed all the exercise and checked with me, right? So have a nice day. That's all for today. See you in class. Goodbye.